back to an episode of $1 Billion Podcast. This mic is not really working here. Okay, well, I'll hold it today. Is there video, Matt? Is there no video today?
There's video.
There is video? Okay, well then I'm in my Arizona gear today because today is the beginning of postseason basketball. That is how I look at it. And it's the beginning of single elimination basketball.
Pac-10 tourney, right?
Yeah, Pac-12.
12?
So actually the Pac-12
12
tourney.
shitty teams instead of 10?
Yeah, so it's in Vegas. And the Pac-12 tournament in Vegas is a party. And we call Vegas, as Arizona fans, McHale North.
Oh, wow, that's cute.
Yeah, because
they travel a lot. There's a lot of Arizona fans. So
and cute. So you can hear U of A chants in McHale North. And so we call it McHale North. And we always win. And so we don't always win, but we usually...
You should... I mean, Pac-12 is pretty down this year, isn't it?
No, are you kidding me?
How many teams are getting in the tournament? Like 3?
So the problem is...
UCLA, USC, Arizona?
I'm so happy we're doing this college basketball primer. So, Matt, I was going to run this by you, and I think I'm going to start here.
Okay.
Can we do a BDP bracket contest?
Sure. Yeah, I've been gambling a lot on college basketball these days, so I'm very in tune with it. I'm watching games. Like I was up late last night watching Penn State, Minnesota. I'm watching like random college games.
Wait, I'm a big college basketball guy. So actually, college basketball I think is one of the easiest sports to gamble on because the analytics are so off because they're all garbage time. Like the garbage time numbers throw off all of these Ken Palms and everything.
Suck at basketball.
Yeah, I know. It's great.
They can't make a free throw. Like literally.
And then like when the coaches ice them with the free, oh, I love it.
They miss all the time. So, Iowa, Illinois, they miss no less than 10 free throws in the last 4 minutes.
So then so we're going to do a bracket contest. Okay. It's going to be on, are we going to do it on the Shared Practices Facebook page? Or are we going to do it on the BDP pod? How are we going to give,
we'll do it on the SP Facebook page.
Okay. So this episode is coming out on Selection Sunday.
That's right.
Right. So our ad today is for the BDP Bracket Contest.
All right.
So get signed up.
Yes.
And so this is where I am the Brooks Koepka of brackets, which means I don't win every time, but I'm top 5 a lot. And I'm really good.
It's more like a John Rahm.
Is that John Rahm?
Yeah. Well,
I like Brooks Koepka in majors. Like he's always top 5.
I guess the bracket challenge is a major. So that
it's a major. It's a bracket challenge, right? And like luck is what takes to win. But to get like top 5, 10, it's all skill.
Oh, sure. So this is your built-in excuse for when you don't win. You're like, no, it's actually based on luck if you win.
No, that's factual. I'm not. Okay. I'm just telling you what the fact is.
Sure, man.
So if Arizona wins the national championship, then I will win the bracket contest. I'll say that. Okay. So if I get the champion right, I'll say I win.
What if someone else picks Arizona to win it all
and then beats me?
Yeah,
I'd be shocked.
Okay.
I'd be shocked if someone is better at this game. I have been a competitive bracket player since 2006.
How much of like college basketball on the whole this year, like, do you follow?
Dude, I've watched every top 20 team.
You want to give any hints? Or you want to keep it close to the vest?
No, I'd be happy to. So you asked about the Pac-12. So I think there are 3 teams in the Pac-12 right now. So the Pac-12, I think, is the most undervalued conference in its bottom down. So like not the top, but it's the mid to higher end. UCLA, I think, is the team to look out for. That is a dog's team. They are rough. They're veterans. They were in the Final Four last year. That team, they've had Johnny Juzang was missing for a lot of their losses, their best player. That's a team to look out for in your bracket.
I like it.
UCLA is I am afraid of them every time we play them.
Right. A lot of Pac-12 bias here, so keep that in mind when you're listening. But continue.
But anyway, other teams to look out for are Arkansas. Love what they're doing. Eric Musselman, great coach. You want good coaches in March.
Yes.
Kentucky, Calipari, unfortunately, is probably going to be good this year in the tournament. And unfortunately, the house, the bias, the NCAA, the corruption, right? This year, it's all Duke. So they're the house. If
oh boy, did I love them getting embarrassed. Coach K's final game.
Did you watch that?
That was
amazing. So 2001, we lost the national championship game to Duke, and so they've been. I call them puke. And
very original.
Yeah. So I loved it. Was payback for me, and it was perfect. And then when he went to go give his farewell speech, he was angry because he lost.
And they had how many like former stars? Like they got a lot of people to come back.
Yeah,
give him credit for that.
96 players were there.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
What a fraud that guy is. I love him getting embarrassed.
So this brings up actually one of my points. So I have on my list here of topics of conversation. 2 of them were written in the car. The other ones I had pre-ready. And Bruce Weber got fired, or he resigned from Kansas State. A terrible coach. And he went out and like had this ethics, like moral statement of like, I lost because I did not cheat. And all the cheaters are in the tournament. And I refuse to cheat. I'm on the ethics committee.
Kind of like it. Stir the pot here on the way out.
Hold on. The second half of the statement is when I took over Illinois, I went to the national championship game in 2005, but that was with another coach's players who cheated to get them.
Oh.
So in my
He left
opinion,
that out, huh?
it's hypocritical to, in the same statement of badgering all of the cheating in the NCAA, for the same coach to acknowledge their accomplishment that was gotten through an inhonest way.
Who'd they have on? They had someone really good on that team, a guard.
Darren Williams.
That was it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that team had they had a really good 1-2 punch in guards. That was Darren Williams, and then the guy was in it was a little short point guard with Corn. They beat us in the Elite Eight.
Whatever happened to the really old Kansas State coach? I love that guy. Remember that? He was there forever. He coached like Michael Beasley, and they were always really good.
That was him. That's this guy.
This is this guy. You don't like him?
Bruce Weber. Yeah, he grew out his hair. He used to be at Illinois, and he moved. So Bill Self, the coach of KU, was at Illinois, and he left Illinois, and this guy took over, and he held a funeral for Bill Self in his introductory press conference. And then he goes to their little sister rival that they beat all the time.
Yeah, I guess this is who I'm thinking of. Hasn't he been there for years?
Yeah. So this guy got fired. I call him the COVID corner coach. He's screaming into the abyss with no one listening about the NCAA.
Hey, that's not very nice. That is not very nice. I don't support that at all. Ricochet shot by George here. Jeez Louise. Kick a COVID corner while it's down.
Dude, we're two guys on a podcast with no say. Like,
ricochet shot.
I mean, I kicked myself too. Bruce Weber's the COVID corner coach.
Yeah, I don't find
he
that
resigned
funny at all.
for losing.
I don't find that
because he's not cheating.
Moving on. What else you got in that scribble?
So bracket contest, shared practices page, bdppod.com for your comments and concerns. And I think it's time that we hop into the positive feedback, right? So let's start with the most positive statement first.
Okay. After we get through these, I do have a new segment.
I have a new segment too.
Okay.
Guys.
It's a juicy one.
Because we have to cover space.
I know.
Right? We're losing, the riling people up on COVID corner.
Here.
Yeah, I mean, we're losing a lot of content here. We came ready with new stuff. So let's see what we got.
All right. Let's go with the best one here. All right. This is a long one. Okay. I had to stop myself mid-workout to write this. Feel free to air this on your podcast. Just keep it to yourself. I don't care either way. But I want to let you know I am the one who will miss COVID corner. Living in a blue state with a tyrant for a governor as well. I can appreciate that. I was so thankful to know that I was not the crazy one who was looking at what happened for the last 2 years and had been furious. You are not alone. I understand that being a business owner and especially a leader means doing things for your team that you don't necessarily agree with, but for the betterment of your business and team means sacrifice so often. So I cannot fault you for that. To those clients of yours that left because of your opinions and views, I am sure they are no longer listening, but I, as a loyal listener who's been there from day one when it was Dental Friends with Benefits, and with the Share Practice podcast before that, would like them to have a simple parting gift for me.
This is great.
I'm reading this. He said I could read it. Oh. Or she. Actually, it is Graham. His parting gift is fuck you all. If George has proven anything, it is that he does not let anyone hold him back or down, and Matt has a fire that seems to burn as hot as any. I, for one, will continue listening to the excellent content. Keep it up. Your friend, Graham.
Graham. Wow. Do we have the applause button? Yeah, I think it's this one right here.
I think it's the yellow. No, you got to turn that thing. No.
That's a laugh. There we go, Graham. Shout out to Graham here.
That was very, very nice of you to say, Graham. I really appreciate
Graham.
That.
So I think that this introduces my next segment. Perfect segue. I wanted to talk about your visit at Arrowhead Family Dentistry.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that. I didn't even write it down.
So Matt came into my legacy practice, and he came in for a cleaning, and he came in on a great day. Sure, I mean, he couldn't have picked a better day to come in.
And we could probably share the circumstances of that day, right?
Half of our hygiene team left. So we have 6 hygienists on staff. We had to let go of one, and then 2 left as a reaction to that.
And you had no idea when you let go of that person that others would follow.
No,
right?
we were letting go of somebody who we had repeated written violations and very, very documented thing.
Yep.
And it created an uproar apparently. And so 2 more left. And so what was an initial just going from 6 to 5 became going from 6 to 3 hygienists. And so this is Monday morning is we get the notice from the other 2, I believe. Maybe one was Friday, the other one was Monday morning. And some really hurtful things were shared in that exchange of 2 people leaving. And long story short, I had to go into the office the same day that Matt just happened to have his cleaning scheduled and kind of put out the fire.
You want to know what's funny about that? So I was telling Ellen, but months ago, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to George's office for a cleaning, but George will is not going to be there. Like, he's never there. And of course, the day that we have our cleaning, you're there. What are the odds? Like, when was the last time before that you went into that office?
My last cleaning, but I mean, in the entire year of 2021, I did not go in at all for a clinical purpose.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't step into that practice.
You had Zoom call. Yeah, it's not like you just didn't talk to them, but you physically being there was literally a 1 in a million chance.
Well, and this was a kind of a strategic thing that I did to help the staff out. I wanted my role to be supporting the leaders there and not the leader there, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where I'd made the decision to consciously remove myself from the place. But we had some tears were shared and some hurt feelings, and all those things were there, and so it necessitated a visit. And
and when you remove yourself clinically like that and being there day to day, you lose a lot of relationship with the team.
Yeah.
Like, you're not the one that they go to and trust anymore, and that's just inherent. That's with anyone.
Yep.
So it's like you kind of found it's almost more of a hindrance than a help. You being more you're one making decisions and you calling the shots and all that.
Well, and I think that's so this is I guess, to tell the story funny. We'll get to the COVID part of the story at the end, but to tell the serious part of the story first. It was kind of a funny experience for me because it was, kind of the last of the things that I've had to clean up about the culture in the office since being absentee. Is this was kind of the last big one of team members that, probably don't fit the new model. And, so I got to go in there and clean that up, and Matt just happened to be there that day. And it was actually a really cool experience because I left thinking, wow, you and I were completely unfazed by this. They were panicking in the morning. And I just went in and we calmed them down, gave them a belief that everything was going to be okay, got a roadmap, and then we just left and we trusted them with the process of actually fixing it. And I was driving home and I was like, wow, Matt and I are really experienced operators. I told them the story of when you first started and your staff left. And I was like, look, this is normal stuff. This isn't a big deal. And I think that in a short amount of time, we've experienced a lot of turmoil. I mean, we've had, just the staff member prison, we've had stuff happen,
been called names.
We've dealt with the real world stomach lining that it takes to own a business, and to go in there and to clean up that mess and to not really be deterred by it in the same place that I used to be deterred by a lot of things.
That's cool. Nice.
It was a really cool, triumphant, this didn't bother me. And if that happened to me when I first bought it, I would have shit a brick and cried, and stuff would have happened.
I mean, I caught the tail end of the meeting, and kind of being there as a observer, I felt like it was exciting. This is it's a challenge to overcome, and you get to create something different and new, and that's more aligned with what our company is now than where we were when you bought the practice. I thought it was this is great.
Yeah. And so what I did was, we started with talking about the hurt feelings, and that's the part you missed, right? We talked about all the hurt feelings, and we hashed it out, and we made a list of problems. So we're like, what is everyone unhappy about? And so then we went through everyone that was there. Are you staying? Are you leaving? What are you unhappy? We kind of shit hit the fan. Let's just be real.
So some of the people in that meeting were leaving.
No. So I walked into the office and there was upset team members who hadn't yet left, who were contemplating staying or leaving. I'm like, okay, well, let's get some feedback here.
Right.
So we got some feedback on some things that they don't like, and we instituted some changes as a result. And then we got a rebuilding plan, right? So it was kind of a morning that I was there for a few hours, kind of talking to people and figuring out, diagnosing, and then getting a treatment plan.
Because the hardest part about our company is we see a change that needs to be made, say how they order supplies, and then we have to communicate that to someone at the practice, and then that person has to communicate to the staff, and the way that person communicates to the staff is extremely difficult because maybe they weren't told the exact reasons or why they're doing it. What if it's something that's been working at this office for months? Why do we have to change it? So finding a decision tree and a way to make those decisions and a way to communicate them is kind of what you
So we'll talk about the specific breakdown, right? So we had something coming from central leadership that went to the remote regional manager, and then that went to the office manager, and then that went to the employee. And by the time it went through that whole chain, the message got changed in a way that was upsetting somebody, and they didn't have a place to go.
Right.
And we're like, all right, well, this is a great breakdown in communication. Let's see where it happened. Let's talk about it. Let's calm everyone down. And we did that. And I think that we got a better communication structure between central management and the individual site.
Yeah.
Right. And that was really what we went for. And so anyway, we had that. It was really funny. It was just kind of this big like really annoying coincidence that Matt had to see me on like the worst possible day of operations. Like it was embarrassing, honestly. Like the first day he comes to the office, the shit hit the fan.
And
like
I see you running out the back door at the end of it.
yeah, I'm like, just get me out of here. I always go out the back.
Staff members like, hey, bye, George.
Yeah, I'm like, see ya. Want to be done with this meeting. It was not pleasant.
No,
yeah,
it wasn't.
Yeah, by the end of it, I was done.
It was
But
a lot.
yeah, it's just a lot emotionally, you know, when it's like your legacy practice, you care about it so much.
Yeah.
And you want to see it do well. And, you know, I think that, you know, like what you said, right? In the future, when we rebuild and we get those team members back, new ones, it'll be very exciting that we have a new culture. We'll start working with Tommy, our hygiene coach, and we'll start like rebuilding that hygiene culture. And I'm really excited about that. But yeah, so that happened. And on my way out, I'm like ready to go. I've had this terrible day. And like, Matt's like, dude, the COVID stuff here is awful. And I'm like, oh, I totally forgot about that.
So you get up to the door. There's a sign on the door. Please wear your mask. Gross. And then you get to the front desk. They still have the dumb plexiglass things, which is so awful. It just makes you seem like you're in some like weird sterile environment. The front desk person seems so far away. And then the worst part of it all, they have the clean and dirty pens. Are you kidding me with that shit?
Okay, now let me give you the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So these things came up because post-COVID, right when we came back. So I live in a blue area, or the practice is in a blue area of Phoenix. And so that day that you were there, our lead doc had $8,800 on her schedule in production.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I got there, it was down to $2,500 in same-day sick cancellations.
Wow. Like COVID sick?
COVID-related cancellations.
Oh. Why do you say that?
Because that's the patient base.
Well, I know that patient base well.
Yeah, right. That's the New York patient base,
Yes.
right? Like that is the patient base at Arrowhead Family Dentistry. It is young, affluent money.
Mm-hmm.
And young, affluent families in that northwestern part of Phoenix are primarily blue. And so our patient base, we have like the red, older,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know,
holdovers.
Yeah, right. And then we got those are red, and then we got the blue young crowd. And we're realizing the economic impact of that population on our practice. And like, we did well last month, but like still we're not at pre-COVID levels like repeatedly yet. And that's because of COVID still.
Yep.
It's so like, that's where Graham's comment, it spoke to me, because it's like, as a business owner, you have to make a decision for your business that you might not agree with. And you just kind of have to sometimes.
Yeah, it was months and months. I was like, I want to get rid of this mask stuff at our office. Like all the times we wore it where we didn't used to, I was just like itching to get out of that. And I had to like pause that for a while before I could finally do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But like, can you imagine like for us on principle to just have one practice that we don't really like operate in a whole lot, impacting all those team members and everything with all the patients leaving? Like if we were to just institute our views as sharp as we would like to, I don't think it would be an objectively good decision.
The pens, they got to go. Like at the end of the day, like the other ones I can live
if
with.
the pens are bothering
Pens
you,
gotta
then
go.
just have that be known, and then they can go, right?
Pens got to go. I mean, they have to go.
You got to bring that up and see what they think, because they're probably fine with the pens. You know, the pens are not a big deal. I think it's more the plexi and the masks.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think plexiglass takes away some human connection with you and the person at the front. When I removed it from my own office, it was like night and day. Like it just, I don't know something about it.
So what we asked, and I believe this is our policy, is that I'm not sure about this, but my understanding is that the mask for a front desk team member is replaced by the plexiglass. So my understanding is that is the philosophy behind the plexiglass, that they don't have to wear a mask.
But it doesn't actually do anything.
Dude, it's not about logic. It's about the patients in there and their perception.
And so
they have to build a safe environment so we can get people coming back.
At some point, you have to untrain them. It's the same thing that's a lot of schools are going through right now, right? Because like they're taking away their mask mandates, and people are, and a lot of students are still wearing them because they're kind of afraid. You have to like tell people it's okay to be near each other, see our faces again,
well,
not have this weird barrier in front of us.
So I think it's time for the negative comment, because I think that sometimes when you read something and you think you know who wrote it.
Yeah.
So this was me the second I read this negative comment.
Really?
It's somebody I think I know, and it's somebody that's not that smart. And
shots fired.
So you can tell in the comment, and I'll show you where and how I know. So Matt, go ahead and read this comment.
Sure. Feedback: trying to like the show, but I can't.
Okay. Why are they trying to like the show?
Maybe at one point they did like the show, and now they can't resume liking it again because of the changing content.
in my opinion, that was the most obvious sign that that is someone that either one of us knows, right? That's the guarantee. If someone's trying to like something but can't, just if they don't know us or care about us, they're turning it off.
Yeah, I would agree. Unlikable, and the attempts to be relatable further alienate your audience. Spreading misinformation just for attention.
Misinformation just for attention means I cannot understand the science you discuss, in my mind.
That's very upsetting.
Yeah, right? Like someone who interprets that as misinformation. Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it at that. As two educated people is irresponsible. At least you took down the Ukraine podcast. Can't imagine your input was anything other than contrarian for the sake of being contrarian. That part I actually agree with.
Really?
Like, I think it wasn't
that we didn't have enough information at the Ukrainian time to have a good take.
We weren't trying to be contrarian.
But it sounded like that in retrospect when the news came out from the time we recorded to the time it released.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
fair.
That's valid.
Fair feedback there. Please learn how to read a room and check your privilege. The entitled better than everyone act is off-putting at best.
So now this is right. So there's something that is, we did an exercise in my office one time where we had our regional manager, she said, write on a piece of paper, like someone that you really admire their leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote down Steve Kerr. Mm-hmm. And then she said, what about this person do you look up to? And I was like, his lighthearted attitude, his aggression, hidden aggression, mm-hmm. and his willingness to take and make risky decisions. Mm-hmm. And then she was like, now point your finger at the piece of paper and realize that the three things you wrote down are things that you have that you saw in someone else.
Right.
And so it's the whole thing of when you give someone feedback, you're actually saying more about yourself than you're saying about that person. You're saying your interpretation of that person, and it says a lot more about you than it says about them. And so for me, reading that comment, right, it told me a lot about the person writing it, right? They're clearly threatened by the education level, the perceived arrogance, right? And I would totally agree with the intellectual arrogance. We for sure have that. Yeah, I mean, that's for sure valid, right? But it's triggering to that person.
Right.
And, right, so that is how I look at a negative comment, is I try to look at objectively, like what's there for us. I think the Ukraine thing was very valid.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Like, we took it down, we didn't let it stay up for long. We missed it. The news happened too fast for the timeline of production. Mm-hmm. Totally valid. The misinformation about COVID, I think, is just more of an insult to the feedback giver than it is to the feedback receiver. I would think it really questions their intelligence level. And then
check your privilege.
Check your privilege, right? That you can tell that they're currently in a place where they have that type of worldview, where they have like privilege. Class is a big thing in their life, right? So you think about that. That's what's going through their mind, and why our show triggered them. And
I'm saddened by the better than everyone act. I hope that if that has come across,
that comes across strong.
Okay, I apologize for that. I don't want to.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to.
Why do you apologize for that?
I don't feel like I'm better than anyone.
No. We're not better than everyone else as people, but on areas that we talk about, we like to talk about them in a way that's more informed than everyone else.
I would agree with that.
Right?
I hope. I don't know. I just hope that. I mean, we definitely come across as arrogant at times.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know necessarily. I don't want that to be the case. Most times. That's what I'm saying.
Why not?
I don't know.
Don't you want to listen to someone who thinks they're good at what they do and is intelligent?
I'm all in my head about this stuff, man.
Yeah,
it makes you
out
question,
of it.
Well, it makes you question everything. You know?
So this is something that we talk about a lot. I think in general, and I hope I'm not offending you in saying this. I think that you have a harder time with negative feedback than I do.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And for me, I look at it. I'm like, look, I mean, person behind a computer screen who's not too afraid to say their name. Like immediately there's very little personal there, right? So you just take the personal out of it. You're like, somebody in their life is hearing what I'm saying on a podcast and then taking it a certain way. And then you just kind of look for what's there for you. You pick it apart and then you move on.
Okay. All right. Want to do some more positive?
Yeah. So,
because the feedback that I got, and I got several pieces, I would say 5-1 positive to negative. Actually, that was the only negative.
So we got 5 positive and we got 1 negative. Why are you making it seem like you got 20-4?
That's what I do, man. I sometimes in a joking way intentionally mislead, and you might see that come up later with my new segment.
Okay, so let me talk about my new segment.
Okay.
because I'm like, I want to talk about controversial things, but I want to do them in a way that is like friendly.
Right.
And so I'm driving to the office today to come here and record. I'm in person, feeling great.
Yeah, we're on YouTube. If you're not,
we're on YouTube. Arizona shirt, backwards Aaron Rodgers and contract 4
honoring. Years, 200 million. Let's go, Aaron. Packers put a good team around him for once.
153 million guaranteed. It's a great deal.
Well, steal, I would say.
I would not call that
steal.
a steal.
Absolute steal.
Jeez, paying someone $50 million a year is never a
steal. When you're the best quarterback in the NFL, that's a steal.
All right, well,
go ahead.
Okay, anyway, so I'm driving there and I see this guy, and let me give you a description. I call him 25 years old, and like really well dressed, like athletic build, well dressed, young, good teeth, like well put together, with a sign that says begging for money, panhandling.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm just critically thinking, and I'm like, And I'm wondering between the reason why this person is standing here with a sign. And I'm like, I don't want to say anything offensive. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to talk about this on air in a non-offensive way? So I'm going to ask the audience a question, a leading question where they submit answers and say all the controversial shit for me. Okay?
Wow.
Are you ready for this?
Great strategy.
So wait, check this out. I'm trying it on this one, okay? How much per hour does a panhandler make on average in specific areas?
Depends on the area.
I know. So I would like it if someone in the audience who has an interest in the subject would go do the research on this to research. Because I'm like, okay, well, he could get a job for like $10 an hour. He's clearly capable. Like
busy New York subway, I'd say 40.
You say $40 an hour panhandling? That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm like, this is a legitimate thing. Like, it's you get to flexible hours. You know,
I think in certain areas,
free food.
It's not
coffee.
I mean, I don't know about an Arizona street. I don't think they'll get $40 an hour. Maybe.
Well, he was in Scottsdale. He was on Tatum and Greenway.
Maybe 20.
Yeah. I mean, like this income's an average of $100,000 a year income in that area, in the intersection he's on, and it was legally allowed because it's in the city of Phoenix, technically.
Right.
So,
how about after we get the responses, you approach this gentleman and say, "Hey, I have a couple questions. Do you mind answering them?"
See, but I think that's rude.
Is it?
That's kind of a douchey thing to do. So I'm like, how can we approach this potentially controversial, potentially political?
You're just being curious.
Yeah, and so I'm curious, and all I'm wondering is how much does this person make per hour panhandling? And I want to compare it to the economic value that they would bring to themselves by working. And my hypothesis is that they make more panhandling than they do working.
I think at the bare minimum, it'd be similar.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on the
and it's like Lyft, right? It's flexible, and you just stand there with the sign, you twirl it, you do some good writing to get more, yield per hour. Like, I understand the concept. I'm just curious on the yield. And I'm not going to say anything controversial.
No, and we're not
I'm
judging.
just going to invite the audience to give us a number.
And we're actually doing the opposite of judging this person. Like, I support
I'm trying to
whatever,
understand what they're doing.
however people want to make money, as long as it's legal, I support everything.
And he is in the city of Phoenix. It is within legal limits, and he is sitting on the intersection. And I think what I'm trying to do is highlight how we talk about something for a political reason versus the reality of it. And so I don't want to say any of that. So I'm just going to have the audience pull us the economic value per hour of a panhandler, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Right. Isn't that great? That's like a literally uncancelable way to say the most cancelable content.
Creates a strong word, and you didn't say anything controversial, so you're good.
Exactly. See? That was my objective. This is COVID Corner 2.0.
All right, here we go.
Audience led.
You two have a lot of influence, and in my opinion, did a great job of using that influence to do some good and help educate and inform. Some people aren't going to like what you say no matter what. Someone complained because you talk too much about sports, especially now that quotes COVID is over and shit is popping up in Ukraine. The people responsible are going to try to sweep COVID under the rug and hope people forget. Thank you. That's exactly what they're doing. Regardless, COVID Corner was great. I appreciate what y'all did.
That's awesome. What a great comment.
Yeah, that was great. And it's absolutely what they're trying to do. They're trying to sweep it under the rug and get us to forget about it. And I will not forget, and you will not forget. That's our pact with each other. We made pacts, me and the audience.
We will never forget about
I don't
COVID
forget.
Corner.
No, I don't. I won't forget about the atrocities they committed over the last 2 years, and you won't forget. That is our deal.
So I got to tell you now about my funniest CoView of anyone I know. Okay. So this individual that I know personally showed up to outdoor events with a mask.
Oh, jeez.
But why? Okay. Out of fear of getting COVID. Then this person got COVID and started walking around everywhere without a mask.
Because he was like, "Oh, this was stupid.
He can't get it anymore." Is that not the funniest COVID view you've ever heard someone have?
Well, he's supporting natural immunity as a great way to not get COVID, and so I do appreciate that part of it.
In my opinion, it was my favorite COVID view I've heard because it is both stupid and inconsiderate.
Just for that baseline fact, he is being more logical than the United States government.
No,
and he's believing in
he
natural
wore
immunity.
the mask outside to avoid getting it out of fear of the virus.
Yeah, but then he supported natural immunity, which is
Then he got it, and he's like, "Well, I already have it, so fuck it. I don't care about anyone else. So I'm gonna walk around without the mask."
He walked around without a mask while he was like,
while he has COVID.
Oh, that's kind of bad. I wouldn't do that. I got COVID. I stayed.
I'm saying
locked
it is the objectively worst COVID view I've ever heard of. Like he's gonna care only about himself to receive it out of fear, and then once he gets it, he's not gonna care about anyone else, and he's gonna walk around and give it to as many people as possible because he's inconsiderate. That is the worst possible view.
Yeah, I misinterpreted. I didn't know that was while he had it that he was doing that.
That's when he took off the mask. Once he got it, he's like, I resigned to it. Now I've gotten it. Mask off.
Well, this guy sounds like a hell of a guy. Stand up, fella. All right. Sorry to hear about the secondhand negative feedback, guys. The show is good, and it is a break in your day, as you put it, George. There's little to gain by greasing the squeaky wheel for a few bucks. I would agree with that sentiment.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting COVID Corner together and sharing for us. It is important. I am devoted and will continue listening, even though I miss COVID Corner. I'd love to hear a conversation about NBA sports betting as we head into the postseason. So let's get through college first, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, we're gonna do college.
I don't want to talk yet about it.
Okay.
Hold
on.
What?
Okay. Yeah. So go to the last one.
Hey man, I just listened to the most recent podcast, and I gotta say I'm gonna miss COVID Corner. For what it's worth, I don't think you guys should stop. I get where you're coming from. You have a business and other people to think about. And I get that you two probably did make the decision just on your own, but don't let the people who don't like you have a say, which has been all facts, stop you guys.
So then I had one of my classmates, Jeremy, one of my friends from school that I was in a suite with, shot me an email.
He also messaged me.
Oh, he also messaged you
Jeremy.
too. Yeah.
I appreciated that.
And same thing. So Matt, I mean, you were pretty down on yourself last week. And I mean, 5-1, 6-1, if you count Jeremy. I mean, 6-1, and the 1 is just sour grapes, most likely. I mean, of the feedback that we've gotten, what are your thoughts now? How do you feel?
No, I mean, I'm very.
You feel appreciated?
I'm very encouraged by the kind words, and I thank you all who wrote in, both putting your name on it anonymously. I feel better. I think it's like what I said last time. Being intentionally inflammatory about certain groups and generalizing. I'm going to try to do less of that. But no, I feel refreshed, and I'm ready to announce my new segment.
Well, with that, I mean, do we have a drum roll button? I don't think so, but let's hear it.
We do have a drum roll button. I just don't know which one it is. So this is a working title of a new segment. I'm still workshopping some things. What I landed on for the first iteration is the infectious disease intersection.
What?
We're gonna call it IDI. ED. So the infectious disease intersection will start today, and we'll continue.
No. I have a better idea.
What?
Can we make the acronym ED? Can we find a way to make the acronym ED?
Oh, like erectile dysfunction?
No.
What?
The firmware firing.
Oh. I don't think we want to say that publicly.
Really?
No.
Fine.
Not yet. No.
Ugh.
All right, so Joyce, as we get into this new intersection here, I want you to answer me. Think about what would a Matt COVID wet dream be? Like, what is my just like? I see something and I instantly just like lose myself. Vaccine
data coming out about how bad it is, or
wait, on that point. Okay, so I'm in the middle of doing a deep dive here, and what I'm doing is creating a hypothesis supported by data. Okay, so I'm not surmising that any of this is 100% true. It's a hypothesis with data. Is that allowed? Can I do that?
And I think the piece that we have to be careful of is to not accuse intentionality.
Sure.
Right? Whether it's intentional or on accident, it doesn't change the data. And so we don't know, and we won't say.
So within, probably not next week, but the week after, I will have an hypothesis with data to support it. And it may change how you think about certain things. It may.
So this will come up on the infectious disease intersection.
Infectious disease intersection.
Can you help me understand the name, because that seems needlessly? I guess it's not. Doesn't sound controversial. It sounds very scientific.
Are you saying this has anything to do with COVID Corner? Because it's like not. So don't even try to make that claim, George. This is completely separate.
This is all infectious diseases. You don't discriminate.
No, it could be anything. I'm a scientist. I have an interest in this stuff. Is that
wait.
Is that a problem?
infectious disease intersection. I love it. It's like public health corner in layman's term. Public health corner, but we won't call it that.
There's no corner involved. This is an intersection. We're at a fork of the road. Pick your side.
So you are right in the middle, the intersection.
I'm right in the middle. I'm unbiased. Can't say that with a straight face. No, we're at a crossroads as a country. We could go down a path that we may have been on before, or we could go down a different path that might be more enlightened.
This is what happens when people give us feedback.
All right.
I'm loving this infectious disease intersection.
I intentionally didn't tell you about that beforehand.
This
I wanted
is so
to find
good.
out. All right, so that was close to my wet dream. My actual wet dream that happened last week. There was a Florida COVID roundtable, and the guests on that are just like my heroes in the same place. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. We had Ron DeSantis, we had Dr. Ladapo, we had Dr. Malone, we had Dr. Gupta, we had Dr. Bhattacharya, and Dr. Koldorf with others. It was an hour and a half of appointment television. It was just glorious. All the leading minds on COVID response in one place, talking logically, supported by data, highly trained scientists. It was wonderful. It was just a wonderful thing. I'm
really
so happy
this happened?
Yeah, this has happened.
Would you recommend that people that are interested go watch the 90-minute clip?
Absolutely. It is wonderful.
What's it called? How's the search term?
If you search Florida COVID Roundtables, hosted by
Florida
Governor DeSantis.
COVID Roundtable.
It was just a wonderful time. And the biggest takeaway that came from it is they are now saying in Florida, Dr. Ladapo is leading this opinion, and what he believes is right based on data is that they're not recommending the vaccine to healthy children under 12. Now, this is a policy that is also supported in many European countries. They're saying healthy children should not get it, and they have data to support that when healthy children do get the vaccine, they're actually more likely to contract COVID, the virus. They have data on that shows it. So this is breaking from, vaccinate everyone, the whole policy that the government has had through this whole thing. So pretty groundbreaking and has led to some reactions, as you could probably imagine. Would you like to hear from our press secretary?
I would love to. And the European objectivity is actually something I want to talk about next.
Yes. Oh.
European objectivity is that they do this extremely well. The French, the Italian, they are objective.
Actually, the best countries have been Scandinavian.
Switzerland,
they're
like
very
those.
Good.
Yeah. And so those are actually the least religious countries in the world.
Oh, cool.
So just the correlation is there, right? These are the most science-driven places.
So before I play this clip, Jen Psaki, of course, is the press secretary, one of my favorite people. So a little background on her. She graduated from the College of William and Mary with a degree in English and sociology. Okay, so, liberal arts major, liberal arts school. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh my gosh.
Dr. Ladapo, the Surgeon General of Florida, let me read you his credentials. First of all, he immigrated from Nigeria at the age of 5.
I love this. This is great for IDI. This is infectious disease intersection objective science. Let's hear the objective qualifications of the people speaking.
Objective qualifications of Dr. Ladapo. He has a BA in chemistry from Wake Forest. He has an MD from Harvard Medical School.
Whoa.
He has a PhD in health policy from the Harvard Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. He has clinical training in internal medicine at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, one of the best hospitals in the country. And he's certified by the American Board of Internal Medicine. Quite literally insane credentials for a leading health policy doctor.
And for all those who are led to the cancellation of COVID corner, you now see the shift on infectious disease intersection.
Totally different.
This is all objective. You cannot dispute this information.
Those are his credentials. They're readily available on Wikipedia and other outlets. All right, so let's listen to. So this is Jen Psaki responding to Dr. Ladapo and others.
What did he say that she's responding to directly?
Not
the no vaccine under 12. Got it.
And then last, Florida Surgeon General says that healthy children shouldn't get the COVID vaccine. Is that a good policy?
Absolutely not. Let me just note that we know the science, we know the data, and what works, and what the most effective steps are in protecting people of a range of ages, hospitalization and even death. The FDA and CDC have already weighed in and the safety on the safety and efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines for those 5 and older. The recommendations are vetted transparently through a process.
We will not specify.
So that parents can have
I don't know either.
confidence after consulting with their pediatricians
Safe
or doctors
and
if they
effective.
would like about the safety. But we also know through the data that unvaccinated teenagers are 3 times as likely to be hospitalized if they get COVID than vaccinated teenagers.
That's some
So
data
it's
interpretation
deeply
CDC
disturbing
stuff going on?
that there are
It's called
politicians
manipulation, man.
peddling conspiracy theories out there and casting doubt on vaccinations.
She accused him of a conspiracy theory?
Interesting. MD from Harvard Medical School, PhD in health policy, is now a conspiracy theorist.
Are you serious?
Isn't that interesting?
Infectious disease intersection is way better than COVID corner.
Yeah.
You get to see just how crazy this is.
Unreal that she would say this. And let me be clear. He said this about healthy children in that age range. He did not say, because the only children, unfortunately, who have passed away from COVID have had a comorbidity or have had
in his statements. Did he address that comorbidity and risk they should see?
Yes, he said
objective science.
He said consult with your physician if your child has any other conditions that may make them not quote unquote healthy. So he's very clear about that. So this is our president, the extension of our president, calling someone with that credentials who emigrated from Nigeria, what are the odds he's going to be in this position where he is now? All the challenges he's overcome in his life.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and calling him a conspiracy theorist
is insane.
You are the conspiracy theorist, Jen Psaki. That's
the COVID corner.
Okay.
Well, this is infectious disease
I got
intersection.
a little riled up there.
I'm going to cut you off. This is a new segment.
You're right.
All right.
You're right.
So we have an objective expert with extensive experience who has gotten somewhere that's incredibly challenging, saying the very objective statement. Very objective. Right or wrong? We don't know. Objective.
Right.
If you are under 12 and healthy, I do not recommend you get the vaccine.
Yes.
If you have a comorbidity or are worried, speak with your physician. Super responsible medical advice.
Very responsible, and in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
He's not telling Americans to do this. He's telling Floridians, because that's who he governs.
Reporter says, hey, Jen Psaki, question for you. Very, very expert here. Said this. What are your thoughts? She then goes on to use a ton of, I call them filler words, where they don't have any meaning.
Right.
Safe and effective, the data, 3 times more
just
likely.
Talking points that she was fed.
Yeah, they're just like things that don't really have real meaning, but they're attempting to. And then she's playing on people's catastrophic anxiety when she's like, a teenager is 3 times more likely to go to the hospital. Well, it's like, I mean, the rate of hospitalization in teenagers is microscopically small.
Right.
Like, you don't fearmonger people with a 3x on that microscopic number. Like that is catastrophic anxiety and not logical. And so the whole thing is just very you show 2 sources objectively, and you have one as science led with a background in science, and you have one as a background in arts and a background with no science, right? And it shows in the response. And
do you think in her sociology major there was like an infectious disease course that she had to take as part
I think
of that?
They took virology, yes.
Yeah, okay. They took like infectious virology or sociology degree.
So I took molecular and cellular biology, and I had to take a virology course. And I took virology and microbiology and genetics. And those are like the 3 most technical science classes I've taken. It's practically engineering. Like when you think of the processes of cellular, like, all the cellular processes that they teach you about, like, it's crazy. So, yeah, I mean, I doubt that Jen Psaki has his depth of knowledge.
No,
on that
I would,
same topic.
I would doubt as well. Continuing on, one other quick thing here. Guess who resurfaced last week? Think about my speech, my written letter. Think about who might have resurfaced right after that.
Como?
Yeah.
Really?
You think that's a coincidence? I went back on him for the first time in a while, and he appears. He gave a speech at a Black congressional church in Brooklyn, making it very clear that his political aspirations are not over. You want to hear him talk a little bit?
Yeah.
Quick one. Hang on.
The actions against me were prosecutorial misconduct. That is clear. They didn't act in the interest of justice. The district attorneys proved that. They acted in their own self-interest. They wanted me out because they wanted my job.
Yeah, definitely.
We know that was their motivation by their own actions. But they actually used the cancel culture mentality to enable and advance their self-serving political scheme.
Political scheme, cancel culture, still thinking that he was canceled. He still doesn't know the definition of that word. That have 11 women came out against him for sexual abuse, and he thinks he's being canceled.
Well,
we don't have to get into it too far.
yeah, I'm gonna cut you off. This is COVID corner, and COVID corner is done. We are at infectious disease intersection.
Okay.
I'm gonna stand by this. I love this.
I appreciate you holding me accountable here. I'm sorry, audience, if I let some COVID corner bleed in. But if Andrew Cuomo gives a speech and it's publicized and it's recorded, I have to respond.
I think guys, for those who don't like COVID corner, I apologize. I will allow an admission. Season 2 of COVID Corner content is allowed, and I told you so tour. So every time Matt,
there you go.
anytime Matt gets to say "I told you so" for something he said on COVID Corner in the past, he is allowed to say it again.
Thank you, George.
Season 2, "I told you so" tour featuring Matt Guarino.
That really makes me happy. It really does. I appreciate that. So thank you everyone for the first infectious disease intersection. We'll see you all next week on that.
And 6-1 people who like COVID Corner are validated in the "I told you so" tour.
But I told you so. But remember, this, despite what I may have seeped in there, totally different. This is a whole new thing.
So, do you have anything else?
I have more stuff, but if you want to take one,
let's. What's your stuff? Let's see what we got.
We talked a lot about the show months ago about our love of gas stations, and I wanted to get your take on price of gas. Is gone crazy. I mean,
this is a much better issue than mine. Yes,
we're almost the $5 a gallon here in Phoenix. Places in California, they're in the sixes. So what's going through your head? What are your thoughts?
So let me answer this, and I'll tell you my last topic. Remember, I told you about the soccer thing that I wasn't going to talk about on air. Mm-hmm. So I am going to talk about that on air whenever you want.
Sure.
So you can pick the time. It's on my list. But let's talk about gas. So I actually noticed this yesterday. So yesterday on the way to school, I took the boys, and we stopped to get gas. And pulling up to the gas station, unleaded $4.59, all the way up to $5.09 for diesel.
Oof.
Premium $5.02.
Thanks.
A 5 in front of the gas number I haven't seen in my adult life.
Yeah, I can't remember.
And think of, so there's two things to consider here economically. Inflation. Right. So I remember in 2010, gas prices were around $4 a gallon in Tucson, Arizona.
Yep.
And
towards the end of Obama's presidency, they got really high.
Yeah. So that was the high gas period. And $4 a gallon in 2010 to me feels like more than $5 a gallon. Right now it's $4.59 for unleaded.
Yeah.
Where I go to the QT next to my house is my barometer on gas price. And I watch it every day when I go, and I'm just kind of wondering what's happening. It's like a stock. And so, at $4.59, that in my opinion is still not as high as it has been in the end of the Obama, beginning of, or I guess that's Obama's second term, right?
Yeah.
He ended in, he was from 08 to 16.
So I guess that was his first term.
So that was in the middle of his first term. Was my peak gas prices, I think, I remember when I needed it the most, and it was the most expensive to fill a tank. And that time, yes, I don't think we're there yet. I think once it crosses 5, then I think we're the most expensive since then. And then I think 6, it'll be the most expensive in my memory. So I think that it's still maybe like $5.50 is kind of like the break-even point when that becomes the most expensive gas I've experienced in my life.
I have a clip, and I'm not going to play it. It's from the Energy Secretary of the government. I see a lot of places like urging Americans to buy electric vehicles. And George, do you know the average price of an electric vehicle?
No.
Take a guess.
$38,000.
$56,000.
No way.
Average price of electric vehicle.
That's really not good advice.
So I think the Democrats have a policy I think we can all get. I'm saying something in support of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I think we should remove.
Okay, fine.
Okay, fine. Yeah, fine. If you're speaking objectively on their policies, I think it's good.
I like the policy. I'm not going to say who supports it. I like the policy of getting our energy sources to more clean energy, to less fossil fuels that impact our climate. I think
tends to be a more blue concept than a more red concept, but it's not a blanket.
I think we can all support that.
Yeah.
But I do also think that the average price of electric vehicle for the common American is just too expensive at this time. Not to say it won't go down.
The cost hasn't come down yet. No.
So the strategy of urging Americans to buy an electric vehicle, it's not that simple. Like you can't just get people to buy a really expensive car that they can't afford.
So what's the price of a Model 3?
You can get one for probably $45,000.
Isn't it starting at 35?
When I bought it, it was starting at 40, and I would imagine it's gone up since then.
So let me tell you. So I actually have done a lot of research on the production of electric vehicles and the challenges that they have. So I'm going to go into a mini case study of Tesla. So did you know Tesla was about to go under?
I did, yeah.
And how did they survive?
I don't know.
Barack Obama, federal grant.
Oh, nice.
So there was
I very much support that. That is excellent.
Yeah. So this was a great move by the government. So the government, Barack Obama at the time, it was an executive order. It was in his first term. He gave Tesla a grant to buy an old Toyota factory in Northern California and renovate it to become an electric vehicle, essentially. And so right now, the biggest challenge with electric vehicles is the cost of production is not efficient enough to become a commodity to Americans, right? It's a luxury vehicle right now. And so through scale, they will continue to cut costs on production. And in the future, it'll be a viable alternative. But what Barack Obama did is he gave a stimulus to a company that was doing something innovative that would help the environment and the economy. And they've paid it all back with a ton of interest.
Awesome.
So the U.S. government made a ton of money on this deal. And Tesla didn't go under, and now they are an extremely overtraded company.
See, I love when we give a grant to an innovative company that's both benefiting, society in general, and rather than like bailing out the airline industry or
I think
Wall
so
Street.
Let's do two examples, one good, one bad of this. So the Tesla gave a good example of the government stepping into a private sector to create an economic impact that would then, they got paid back plus taxes. So the US government got more money than they gave out. And now the economy is much more active, which helps our gross domestic product, which helps our taxes, right? So a lot of benefits to the United States here. Bailing out Wall Street in 2008, the financial crisis.
Oh yeah, that has to be one of our future topics.
Do you want me to talk about it now?
You can go in there, yeah.
Yeah. So the movie's called The Big Short. Have you seen it?
My favorite movies.
Yeah, it is one of my favorite movies as well. And it details in plain English the sort of the subprime mortgage market that was. So what happened is it was just so levered. So there was people levering these so by the time a loan was happen, like a loan for $500,000 for a house, there was 20 times more money betting on the performance of that loan. So when the subprime mortgages went under, all the money betting on them also went under, and it created a financial collapse. And what the government did was they bailed out all of the big financial institutions because they were economically necessary. But what they didn't do was hold them accountable. So the very, very first block of Bitcoin, the very first block ever, has a secret message encoded on that day.
No way.
From the New York Times that says it was the first bailout. And so the Satoshi Nakamoto, the unknown creator of Bitcoin, in the first transaction coded that Bitcoin is necessary because there is not a safe place to store large amounts of money, as seen by, and he referenced the title of the headline in the New York Times article that talks about the bailout.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. But let me jump in 1 second. So we talked last time about transferring to cold storage. It is not illegal. Someone wrote into us.
Really?
Thank you for that. And you should do it. Not
Okay,
illegal.
can we see that answer?
Yeah, Bitcoin transfer to cold storage / personal wallet isn't illegal and should be done.
Love that. Is that all that was included?
Yep.
Hey, listener, that's out there. I think I might know who this is.
I think you might know who it is.
But I think I might not.
No,
Can
I think you
please
do.
elaborate?
Okay, listener, anonymous.
Because what we're trying to figure out is where is the crypto boundary between an offshore account and a legal account, right? Because offshore accounts is where you hide money from the government and income to save on taxes. And my assumption is that is illegal.
That's legal.
But cold storage cannot be tracked is my assumption. So then I would assume it's illegal. So where in my understanding am I wrong? Please, bdppod.com, chime in.
Yes.
So guys, this episode was great because of all the feedback we had to go off of.
Yes.
Think of it. We had interspersed comments and conversation. It was great.
This episode gets a lot better with
The
input.
more feedback we
Yes.
get. So bdppod.com. We will read the best comments. And if we don't have enough, then we'll read all the comments. And, guys, submit. Hey, panhandling. How much do panhandlers make? Let's figure that out. Is cold storage legal or not?
Well,
let's look into this.
life's important questions here.
Yeah, these are important questions that we need to answer.
And I think I read every comment on air. I really do. I think I've gotten every single one.
Yeah, I think we've tried to read every comment on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll we're not going to run away from negative.
And if you
feedback.
don't want me to read it, just say, "Hey, don't read this," and I won't.
And I can understand that, like, from like the easy thing to do would be like, oh, let's just stop talking about things that are off people's feathers. And like, we'll just do it anyway, and we'll just do it differently, taking their.
Well, now we
feedback
have
into place.
some checks and balances.
Yeah.
You stopped me when I got a little too down the CC.
Are you good with me doing that?
Yes, I very much appreciate it.
Okay, so I will continue to do that. I
'Cause-
will try to stand for infectious disease intersection.
Yes,
It is the intersection between science and nothing else.
Because I've built up a lot of habits in doing this show, some good, some bad, and if I fall into some of the bad habits,
I will make sure
I need to be poked.
Yeah, so like the Aaron Rodgers jersey, this is about his football play and his love for objective science. I mean, this is all the things we stand for.
Mm-hmm.
His views, all we care about are the things that fall within the purview of infectious disease intersection.
Right. Yeah, and I care what he does in the lines of the football field, and that's it. That's I like watching
This
play
is
football.
our political show. The infectious disease intersection is where we're objectively political.
No,
we won't say things
talking about
feathers.
data infection. That's it. Infectious disease.
This is such a politicized topic. So
can I do a really quick one?
Yeah, please go for it.
So I want to give everyone an update on my hair treatment. So,
hey,
as months ago, you guys know that I felt like I was balding. I went to see the doctor, was confirmed male pattern baldness.
This is an ad. Why are we? Is this a post roll? I think it's a post roll ad here.
Post roll ad. So that was in August, and I got started on the finasteride gel, which I recommend all of our listeners do if you're losing your hair.
Why?
Because of the results it gives. Totally back to the thickness and hairline I had before.
Really?
It took after about 6 to 7 months, you really notice a difference. No hair, like no excess hair coming out in the shower when I shampoo anymore. Hairline's good. Thickness is back. Couldn't recommend this stuff more.
So you're a physician. You went to a specialist for this,
I went to a hair doctor, an MD.
And can you recap his visit? Because I forgot what you said.
So he did a microscope all over me. He looked at the different parts of my head and showed me the difference between the hairs that are impacted by male pattern baldness, is like a little yellow hue at the base of them. And he compared that to like ones on the back of my head. So I only had the front balding. A lot of people have, the crown, the two types. So he showed me hair in the back, didn't have the yellow thing. So he said, first step is do this gel. He recommended some other treatments that I didn't end up doing that I think were unnecessary. But finasteride is a proven medication to stop DHT, the hormone that causes hair loss. And in the gel, it doesn't cause any libido effects, which I was worried about when you take it as a pill. Like, see the 4-HIMS ad, those are pills for finasteride. Yeah. So the gel, much more effective.
Doesn't go systemic. It stays local.
That's great. Couldn't be more happy with the results. Really can.
Oh, I love that. And the best part is, so there's something in the story that I'm going to highlight that I don't think you really were knowing that I thought was significant, was you didn't listen to everything you said.
Right.
So can we talk about that? Because I think this is an important topic. As a healthcare provider myself, I don't expect patients to listen to everything I say. I expect them to understand everything I say. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same thing when I go to a place, because I want to make a decision on my body myself, and I'm the expert of myself. And they just give me information about this microsection of me, which is my hair. So what did he say that you didn't listen to, and why?
So he recommended I get this laser scalp hat that you'd wear 15 minutes in a day. And he'd also recommended that I have several PRP procedures to put stem cells into my scalp.
Platelet-rich plasma?
Yeah. The reason I didn't go for them, and I didn't make any decisions in the room. I made all the decisions out of the room because I didn't like the...
So did you do your own independent research and looked at studies on these things?
Yes.
See,
I wouldn't say I looked at studies, but I feel like I'm very good at crowdsourcing information on the internet. I kind of know which areas in communities are trustworthy and which aren't. So I went to, there's a very popular Reddit subreddit on hair loss. I forget the name of it. It's not hair loss. It's like something different. And tons of threads about both of these things. And I read through all of them. And I kind of like, okay, most people had either at best lukewarm reactions to these things, and they're very expensive.
And they're invasive, and you can always do those second.
You can always do those again.
So they can wait.
And from my many months of research, I knew finasteride is proven. Like, it's very safe. It's very effective. It's actually safe and effective.
It's not Jen Psaki safe and effective.
No, it's actually safe and effective. And then he calmed my concerns I had libido concerns, and then he calmed them with the gel. So yeah, I was armed with the information ready. I actually did make that purchase in the room, and the other ones I waited, and I said no. But I think it's, for a lot of dentists listening, it's like, if it's something that the patient hasn't heard of or they're confused by, you really have to explain the reasons why, the studies behind it, show them why they need it. He didn't do enough of that to really get me to say yes in the room.
So history of dentistry. Do you know the first dental school in the country?
Give me a hint.
So there's two that started first, Maryland and Harvard. I don't know which one came first.
You didn't give me a hint. You just told me the answer.
So do you know which one came first? You could guess.
Maryland.
Maryland, you think came first?
That's what I guess.
So Maryland was the DDS, Doctor of Dental Surgery, and Harvard was an MD. And so I interviewed at Harvard, so they kind of explained this. And what they said was that they viewed DMD as a degree of the first specialty of medicine. And it was the first specialty of medicine that bypasses medical school. So they built a separate track, and that was what Harvard did in opening up their medical school or their dental school. Was like, we're going to build a separate track for someone who could become a dentist directly without going to medical school first,
cool.
which was the old way.
Okay.
You go to medical school and then you specialize in dentistry and become a dentist.
Right.
And
it's thank you for that. Jeez.
In my opinion, a dentist is the ultimate healthcare generalist. So in order to become a dentist, you must learn all the basic sciences. You must do as a baby version of the first 2 years of med school. You also do surgery. So you are, in my opinion, the only, so not an opinion, so optometrists, podiatrists, all of the ones that bypass medical school, none of them perform surgery on humans except dentists.
Yeah, you're right.
So dentists, in my opinion, are the healthcare specialty that is the most neutral, most general, right? Because we're the first specialty of medicine, but we didn't go to medical school, so we're not like a physician, and like we don't have all the physician arrogant asshole like behavioral qualities that they get. But at the same time, like we're not, not as technical in science as some of the other ones, right? So a dentist, I think, is a very qualified person to go to a physician's visit, hear what they have to say, go research objective science, and make an informed decision. And I feel like I've spent a lot of time thinking about this because it's such a unique path to education that I think you do leave with the ability to talk. I feel like I can speak in the same language as a physician. Like I did my reversal of the vasectomy. I looked up the different types of procedures, the post-op instructions, studies on success rates versus different post-op activity. I feel like I'm able to do that and not listen to what my doctor says and take it as a fact. Yeah. I'm going to go find the facts myself.
And I kind of like that when you like randomly run to the patient that is kind of armed with that kind of knowledge and with that and I always kind of like, some dentists don't like it. Like they feel like they don't want to be questioned and oh, this person just got off WebMD or something stupid. But like sometimes you run into a patient that's like very well educated on it. You're like, oh, this is kind of nice.
Yeah, I love that. And my favorite one was cracked teeth. When I was a dentist, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, cracked teeth, like these are pros, cons, like you pick your, like there's a miss on either side, like pick which one you want. I don't know what the right answer is, but I just do it this way. Yeah. And like people are good at making decisions for their own body. We don't have to do that for them. So, but great episode today. Guys, you guys brought the comments. Yeah, look at how great that episode was. All because of you guys. BDPpod.com. Let's sign off here.
All right.
A round of applause to the audience. That was an accidental button press, and it was a very good one. There we go. All right. We'll see you guys next week on another episode of the $1 Billion Podcast. A couple guys on a $1 billion couch looking at a $1 billion infectious disease industry in complete objectivity. We'll see you guys next time.